That's a delightful little bit of light dappling on the screen there, isn't it? Let's just call who was it? The Mental Health Commission.gov.au on 02 8229 7520. Oh, hi Kim, how you going, Dale? It's Rich Mclean speaking.
Oh, hi, how are you?
Just going through the motions of oppression. To be fair, yeah, it's a difficult journey for me because, as you're probably aware, well, I don't know if you're recently aware, but we have been aware of being in massive detriment from systemic government agencies, and I'm trying to unpack that. But the problem is the detriment's caused poverty, which needn't have been the case. But when you've got a former partner who's an ASIO agent, it's incredible the amount of things they'll go to keep you silenced. But anyway, look, I'm just ringing up regarding the Freedom of Information request number.
Sure.
Now, I recognise that I'm late in I may be late. Is it May, June, July? I can't even remember. That's partly the problem with trying to keep on top of all this very intellectual and academic or droll sounding government literature and keeping my head on my shoulders is that I can't remember things as well as I used to.
Sure.
That's because of the detriment of the suicide attempt that I had in Werribee Mercy Hospital, and it was considered in the Freedom of Information documents a lethal injury and a fatal attempt. So I guess you can't get much more dead than that. Now I was accidentally found with no blood and no pulse and revived. So this explains it all rolls into one another with you're the Australian government or representing the Australian government, the National Mental Health Commission, but not willing to release anything to do with my own death, which is kind of it's. I'm not having a go at you. It's just come so far now. It can't go back. It's hard to put back into the box.
Sure.
And look, I was just wondering on that. I'm just going over your letter here, just because my memory is so bad. That is a 30-day extension, and you reproduced for clarity what I wanted to write, and you considered the scope of the request to be the same as the original decision maker. So you've taken my request to be for any documents, my name, Richard Mclean, the book I wrote, relating to the government or agencies, Werribee Mercy, my former partner. I noticed you spelled his name wrong there too, but doesn't matter. And anything, it was probably just a typo. You know what? I'm so rationally paranoid that these little mistakes and trickeries are put into place to legally get around things with a valid paranoia. But anyway, and anything to do with my business.
You can absolutely take it from me, it would be just a typo.
Yeah, I realise that now. Yeah, just saying it. But I thought to myself at the time, that's not how you spell it. Oh, they've got it wrong. Anyway, look, I just realised that you've now it says the decision to give me extracts of the documents contained was grounded in my agreement to that approach. Redacting approximately 1,000 pages of exempt material across those three documents. So I got three. I asked the Mental Health Commission about my life in this country as an advocate and author and my detriment. And I guess there's 1,003 pages and I got 3. And it doesn't seem to me to be an equitable and fair thing, because I think that this whole movement of systemic oppression, which has its genesis in stigma and oppression and not understanding, has really amplified me in a way that I'm easy to be exploited in a public way, and a very private way, in a very government and systemic way as well. So, I mean, just example, when my book came out, I was fired from the Age. You know, I was having a great life at the Age. I'd recovered and done really well. But the Herald Sun across the road decided to say, you know, this was my descent into madness, and next thing you know, I'm fired from the job I loved, you know. Being a public person and being a private person is very difficult. And I find that when I write to institutions like yours, such as the Mental Health Commission, it's very individualized. You know, it's protecting a very public thing, but it's very individualized. It comes to me on my computer, you know, and I know you've put in here. I can make a complaint to the Information Commissioner. That's the OAIC. However, the systemic oppression's gone so bad for me, and I don't know how much you know about it. Probably you know all about it and just fluffing it, or you don't know anything about it at all. But I'll just say I lost many cases in many government agencies, and it's gone right up to the Office of Prime Minister and Cabinet. And like you, the Office of Prime Minister and Cabinet, when the last government was in, said through the OAIC that my case was extremely voluminous and complex. That's partly because my former partner was an ASIO agent and I was a public person. And then a bit later, they said I don't exist. And I think that's the way they want it. And, you know, for someone who's like that suicide attempt that was from the oppression, well, I mean, I did it, but I mean, it was from this consistent and prolonged gaslighting from government agencies, you know, that wasn't getting me anywhere. But anyway, look, that can I just say that happened in February 2021, and 18 months after that, the government, first of all, because I used to be on a pension years ago, and they put me on the on Job Seeker, which I thought was stupid because I was on sick leave for my job anyway. I'd done a PhD. You know, I've really struggled and an uphill battle my whole life to try and just get acknowledgement from places, and I've had to do it myself. And 18 months after that, I was living on negative $300 a month on the DSP because my rent's 1,646 and the DSP is only 1,400. So literally, I 18 months after I died in a hospital, I actually don't even have enough to exist in the world, you know, and no one sees a problem with this. It's just absurd to me, you know. Do you have like just? I mean, it's funny to see in words and things. And I know there are protections and there are laws for some and protections for others and all that kind of stuff. But can you hear from my story and the authenticity in my voice and the lifelong 25-year advocacy role that I've had in the public eye, how a very singular letter like that may just be another brick in the wall type thing for me, you know what I mean?
Yeah, well, so just, I guess, in terms of the freedom of information request,
Yeah, I've just got it here. I just found it. That's why I called it.
Sure. Yeah.
Yep.
So, because from memory, I think when we did a search of our records, we came up with one record that was pretty long, and it was it a manuscript or something called Glimpses?
Oh no, that's a flash in the pan. That tiny little thing that you came up with. In the letter you've written to me, it said there was over 1,000 pages of records on me, and then it.
From memory, Richard, that was all Glimpses. So I think.
No, Glimpses was just a. I know the person who did Glimpses. I'm well across the society of people who do things, and I actually contributed to that. That's the only reason that I was in it, because I consciously contributed to that.
And I think that's what we had, right? Was a copy of Glimpses.
No. So it says here in the letter, I note that the decision of the original decision maker to provide you access to the extracts of the documents that contain the information in those documents that pertain to you was grounded in your agreement to that approach provided on the phone call with the decision maker on 5th of May 2022. This decision was also based on the impracticality of redacting approximately 1,000 pages of exempt material across those three documents.
Yeah.
So it sounds like I've got a bit of a famous person on the in the spaces between spaces of the federal government, and to be.
So how about this? Can I give me a chance to go and get the file, because I think I'm pretty
Sure, I think it's fair that you're looking at the same thing I'm looking at,
And look, I think honestly, I think what and this is just going from memory, as I said, I don't have it right in front of me right now, but I'll go get it and I might give you a call back. Would you mind if I give you a call back on Monday?
Yeah, no, that's all right. Just take your time. I'm in no rush. I mean, I've got no food. I've got no house. There's no heater. What could go wrong? Yeah.
Gosh. Have you got some support?
No, the only support I've got, unfortunately, you can tell I've got an intellect and vernacular, and even though I'm a bit forgetful now, but I'm quite well. I know what's going on. I've done a PhD. I'm more sane than insane, and the problem with society is that they've intelligently designed my vagrancy from that hospitalisation when they dumped me. And for 18 months, I spent on negative $300 a month. I don't even know how I managed to survive that long. They say rental stress is 15% of your wage. I didn't have enough to exist for 18 months. And then what they did? They locked me up in a psych ward and called me mad. Now, that to me is a very conscious and malicious way to destroy someone. If you want to destroy someone, the first thing you do is you get all their weaknesses. And I've already been very brave and proud about who I am, and being gay, and either using drugs in the past, or having a mental illness, which is a huge stigma. I think I was one of the trailblazers of the time. Actually, I think it was the first book on schizophrenia written by someone who thought they had it. So I'm extremely aware of this toxic gaslighting and this scapegoating that's been going on behind the scenes, which started very many years ago when the book came out. And it's travelled along in a journey, in a narrative that's gone from little things, and as long as I don't stick my nose out too much, it all goes along fine. But as soon as I start to claim the detriment, or my value, my worth, or my prosperity, it seems to someone slap me on the head. It's funny, I've just been hospitalised again for the 4th time in 18 months, and not one of them has said, what about the sexual abuse you went through? What about the $1 million you lost at the Australian Human Rights Centre? What about being framed at AFCA? What about still losing your workers' compensation? What about losing 2 VOCAT cases and 2 VCAT cases? What about the police redacting information that would have seen you have a clear criminal record? What about having cancer? What about the sexual abuse that you carried through your whole life and wrote about it in a PhD? No one wanted to know about those things. All they wanted to know about was that I was stressed and that I'd call my parents and ask for money, and in turn, they wouldn't know what to do because they're pretty basic bitches, really. Sorry to use that language. But they don't understand the complexities and the nuances of the delicacies of my life. And they just think that, I mean, I'm the forgotten child, you know, this forgotten second child, and they just want me to go away somewhere and do something, you know. They don't care. And they just want to, sorry, I lost my train of thought then, but it was 18 months of having nothing, and then I'd ask them for money and they'd call the mental health place and they locked me up. And I've just got out of hospital again, where they've had to, they used my dog, my dog, the only thing that I care about in the world, because everyone's forsaken me, as currency that I wouldn't get home unless I agreed that this conspiracy wasn't happening. And in addition to that, while I was locked up for 3 weeks with only 11 metres or so to move, and nothing to do, no books, no paper, no pen, they blocked calls and they banned my phone. Now this is, I just want to explain, this is in extreme opposition to the Australian Human Rights Commission and this Charter of Human Rights for people with a disability, that you need to have equality before the law, you need to have access to the law, and you're allowed to communicate with anyone you want. But the psychiatrist wrote a note that went underneath that on the Mental Health Act and said that I was banned from using a phone. So they locked me up for weeks. They punished me. And you know what? It was really awful because while I was in there, they set me up in like a cage fight. You wouldn't believe it. They set me up in like a cage fight with this, I want to say mad, but he was clearly affected by something. And he went to throttle me. And the guards all stood to the side and witnessed him in a closed space begin to kick the shit out of me. And they all stood back and didn't do anything. And I'm a Buddhist, or a lend from Buddhism heavily, so to have to defend myself and smack his head into the ground really was causing me such distress. But to do opposite, he may have killed me, because he did break my nose, and in a bizarre silencing, a preposterous silencing of everything, I wasn't allowed to call the police, and the hospital didn't call the police. And in the end, I rang the hospital, and with all the things I've been exploited with over the years, such as I'm a rapist, I'm a pedophile, I'm a dog fucker, all these things, I rang up and I said all those things to the police. I faked it that I was calling my mum, and I got onto the phone through this tiny little hole in the wall, and then I said to the police, I'm a pedophile, I've raped people, and I've killed a man. I know where the body is, and you better come and talk to me. I'm in this hospital. And they didn't come. And in fact, to this day, I've now not only been basically killed by the government, and then the government covered it up, but set up in a cage fight and then not be able to report it to police. And then in addition to that, my work cover case went to WorkSafe and then the AAT and then Comcare, and it's all cooked by a very tight network of individuals in systemic government organisations. And Paul Fowler is the old boss at WorkSafe. Now they said, sorry, am I taking too long?
You are, well, no. It's just go to a meeting, right?
Oh, sorry, Dale.
No, that's okay. Let me have a look at the file. Let me at least get the file out and give you a call back. Have you got a phone number I can give you a call on?
Yeah, I had to change it a few times because, for reasons of mine, but look, it's 0409. Oh, actually, I can send you a quick email if you want. Is yours Kim Eagle at mentalhealthcommission.gov.au?
Yeah, that's fine. Do you want me just send it through to there?
Okay.
I'll get out the file and I can then send you an email. So
I mean, what do you even think about that little narrative that I just spun off to you then? I mean, it's quite extraordinary, don't you think?
yeah.
I mean, if it's a mental health commission and I'm locked up in a psych ward, like, the allegory is that they're proposing to design me to be mad by removing detriment from my life, removing money from my life. And I get distressed and I call my parents, and because the only people, everyone's gone from my life. I'm my own best friend. And I ring my parents and complain. They don't get it, and they call the CAT team. And you know what the police did? They came to my house, broke through the door, tasered me, threw me in the back of a divvy van, and then took me into hospital and locked me in a room. It's just an extraordinary story that I think that a CEO or what's a CFO?
So Chief Financial Officer.
Oh, finance. You've got to do with money. Okay, well that makes sense.
Right.
Yeah, covering it up. Anyway, well look, I'll email you, and if you could.
Send me through an email.
Okay.
And then I will. I'll send you an email back. I'll just have to get the file out so I can have a look at it again, and I'll get back to you.
No worries. Maybe if you could give a little dialogue on maybe that story I told you, because that's an extraordinary thing to have to go through systemically via the government. I'm millions of dollars in detriment, and the finance minister Birmingham didn't even listen to me, and then I'm all up with the NDIE minister Reynolds and everyone. They condoned me to homelessness.
Okay, Richard, I'm going to have to head off. Sorry.
It's a difficult conversation, I know, and it took too long. I'm sorry.
No, that's okay. I actually have to head off.
Yeah, okay. I'll let you go, and I'll look forward to touching base a bit more about it later on down the track.
Sure. Okay.
Thank you. Bye.
Thanks, Richard.
Oh well.